Greetings, all. Welcome to another episode of Axanar Confidential. I am Alec Peters, not on the bridge of the Aries for a change. I'm at home where, since it's Friday night, I want to welcome Director of Photography of Interlude, Josh Irwin, my good dear friend who just did a spectacular job on another project that we're going to tell you about next week, and Tyler Donovan, the newest member of the Axanar Universe team, and the doomed engineer, who, as people were pointing out, delivered a brilliant performance. So definitely, as many people know, I used to coach volleyball professionally at USC and with the U.S. national team, and one of the coaches who was my mentor said, "Improve with a substitution. Substitution always has to improve your team." So, and I definitely think you guys did there. So, how are you guys doing tonight?
Pretty good.
Doing great.
I can hear those dogs.
I know. My jokes are good. What they're saying is, we love Tyler. That's what they're saying.
We were there a couple of weeks ago.
Tell the dogs Tyler is blushing.
Tyler says hi, guys. So keep quiet now. So, well, good. We had a great audience. That was really awesome.
Like 450 people, something like that.
Yeah, I know, huh? How's that? I'm sure Stogie will get that up into rotation on one of the playlists as well. It's got 791 views as of now. So
nice.
Good job.
All right.
Yeah, so that's fantastic. So, Tyler, why don't you start off and tell us how you got involved in Interlude, and then we'll talk a little bit about the Avalon universe and what Josh has been doing with you there.
So it was a Friday evening, and I talked to Josh on the phone. He says, "Are you going to be home?" And he shows up at my door and says, "Yeah, I'm going to hang out with you for a little bit, and then we're going to talk a little bit, and then I'm going to leave, and then you're going to pack your shit, and we're going to Atlanta in the morning, and we're filming a scene for Interlude, and coming back on Sunday." So
I kind of didn't give him a choice. I was just like, "No, I'm picking you up at 6 a.m. You're going to Atlanta with me."
Yeah, I didn't have anything to do, and I needed something to do, so it worked out.
Well, awesome. I mean, I know the answer to this question, but why don't you tell us if you enjoyed it and how it went and all?
Oh, I loved it. I had a great time. I really enjoyed meeting everyone on set. I got to meet Warren Hawk. That was amazing. And watching the other bits that you were filming. Can't wait to see those. But I had a blast doing it, and I think it looks great. I love the pan shot. I think that's just beautiful that Josh set up and did.
Yeah, it looks great. It looks fantastic.
Honored. Well, first of all, I'm honored. It's my honor to be a part of Axanar. I mean, everybody knows Axanar is the biggest single Star Trek fan film there is, and or Prelude. I'm sorry, Prelude to Axanar is the biggest. It's the biggest deal, and to be a part of that universe, the next. Subsequent episode of that is just an absolute honor and privilege. So,
I go ahead, Josh. No, Josh, go ahead.
I was just remarking not too long ago to Jonathan, I wish I could go back and show this to myself in like 2015 and be like, look at how crazy this is, because I saw Prelude and I thought it was the coolest thing that has ever been made at fan films. And I wanted to be involved with fan films for so long, so bad, like go back and show myself this in 2015. It's like got Jay Plyburn in it and Tyler and Victoria. It's like the Josh Irwin takeover of Axanar. Like it is crazy.
And Alec, you and I actually should have met about 6 years ago when at the Geeky Awards. I was in negotiation to be hired to be the Marty McFly. They were looking for a Marty McFly for that event. Where, am I correct? That's where Prelude to Axanar premiered, correct?
Yeah. Well, it didn't premiere there. We were up for the Geeky Awards that year for best fan film was the title of the award, and we had some great competition that year. And one of them had the guy. What's that wonderful actor who played the mayor in the Wire, and then he played who was the evil, one of the evil guys in Game of Thrones? What was his name? Anyway, and I was like, oh, we're not going to win. We're going to get our ass kicked. And we won that year. So yeah, if you had been there, you might have been giving us the award.
I was supposed to be the Marty McFly at that event, but it turns out they couldn't. What they had budgeted for that part, that wasn't enough for me to make it. So
they couldn't afford a star of your caliber,
basically.
Yeah. And there's Dave Alexander, our good friend, who's a NASA flight surgeon. David, always great to see you here, sir. Well, good. Yeah, Josh, I'm looking forward to more installments of in the Axanar universe.
Yeah, one of the things that we're doing is we're going to do a crossover film. And that's something that I guess we're ready to talk about now that Interlude is finally behind us. And fingers crossed, you never know what's going to happen tomorrow. But we did an Avalon Universe film that came out the day after Christmas. And it's called Legacy. It was written by Victoria Fox and directed by her. And she did an incredible job both writing and directing. It's very sweet, kind of character-driven film. And the deal there was we have a friend named Lee Pfeiffer, who I've always kind of called him. He's a wild man because this he's all about his Harley Davidson, and I went down to record some ADR with him, and he's like, I don't care if there's a swimming pool full of COVID. I'll just dive right in, So he's a bit of a crazy character, but he wanted to be in one of our films, and then he has a friend of his family named Georgie Anderson. She is a great, sweet, wonderful young actor who was looking to do something and get some experience, and so I gave Victoria the assignment of write this 3-minute film for them to be in, and he had some kind of input on what he wanted it to be, and she took that idea and developed something really, really good with it. And so I look at that, and this element in it is this empty captain's chair of her mother was a captain, and we're on this Ares class ship, and it's like, well, who was her mother? What did she do? And then of course we're doing Interlude, and I'm watching this, and I'm like, how would the 4 Years' War be different in the Avalon universe? Did it still happen there? Was it a different thing? And so, obviously we've seen 2 instances of the Ares class in Avalon universe films, and so that ship is there. It wasn't decommissioned in our universe. It was reconfigured and refitted to be a science vessel later on. But so the 4 Years' War did happen. And I kind of had this idea where I wanted to explore how would it be different there, specifically how would Interlude be different there, but then I kind of decided to go a different direction, and it was kind of this perfect storm of who is this character versus how is the 4 Years' War different in the Avalon universe. And you had contacted me and said it'd be really cool if we could work together, and I was like, man, and then I'd seen Crystal in a film that we shot down there in December of, I say 2019, and then she did a thing for Vance, and then we did this Jewish space laser thing, and I was like, this is the perfect actor to play this role, and especially when she did Jewish Space Laser, I was like, this is a lock, because she was such a good performance in that. So it was just like, it all made sense. And if you look at Crystal and you look at Georgie Anderson, you could really buy that casting wise as mother and daughter. And so this film is going to be called To Allison. And what the story is about is what this character, Captain Amber Thielen of the USS Athena, what she wants to leave for her daughter, knowing that she's going to war, that she's probably not going to come back. What is it that she's leaving behind for her daughter, that she realizes she's not going to get to see the person that her daughter grows up to be. And so it's sort of her message for her daughter. Now that she's, maybe passed on, knowing that she can't can't come home. So that's what it's going to be about. It's going to be a war story, but it's also going to be about peace. And Star Trek is about peace, and there are some very important themes. Kirk talked about going back to Axanar, and that was a peace mission. We saw Star Trek 6 and the Khitomer Accords, and so those things will play a part in this. We'll start, in the 4 Years' War, 20 years before the current events of the Avalon universe, and then we'll end 2 decades after, around the era of Star Trek 6. So it's going to be like a really neat film that's very different than anything we've ever done, and we're about to start a crowdfunding campaign to help us make that.
All right. Well, and what's Tyler? Is Tyler going to be involved in any of that?
Tyler is going to have a MCU style post-credit scene in that film.
Okay.
That will be very interesting.
Gotcha. All right. Awesome. And tell us now, you're stepping into the directing role and stepping away from the DPing role in these films. Is that correct?
Right. Yeah, that's right. And we've already done that with Cosmic Stream, which we filmed about 2 months ago, and it's almost finished. It's almost done. I have a friend that I've known as long as Tyler. I've known him like maybe 6 months less than I've known Tyler. His name's Neil Bilby. Dude's been a friend of mine for forever, and it's interesting because I was in a 7th grade. I want to say it was a 7th grade science class, and they bring in this. New kid that I'd never met before. And of course they sit him next to me, and I'm like, oh, I got to talk to this new kid. And he gets up and he leaves to go to the principal's office or something. And I look down at the notebook that he had left, and he had a drawing of Deep Space Nine on it. And I was like, no, this guy and I are going to get along pretty good. And I said hi to him, and that afternoon, I went over to his house, and then he's been my bro since 7th grade. So we actually both went to the same film school, and so we both graduated from the same film school. And he wants to be a DP. That's what he wants to do. And so when he learned that I was kind of not really wanting to do it anymore, that I had other things I wanted to do, he stepped up. He came to me and was like, I would really like to do this. And so when we shot Cosmic Stream, he really did a good job. And I know that you've seen some screen caps from it. And I was really happy. And there was somebody else that was involved, a few other people that were involved in that production that are going to become really big parts of Avalon Universe moving forward. Awesome.
Yeah. By the way, I was going to mention Jay Plyburn, who played the first officer. He wasn't the first officer, but he was at the first officer station on the Ares, and he was awesome. I loved working with Jay. He was just fantastic. What a nice guy.
He's the dictionary definition of nice guy. You look up nice guy in the dictionary, and it's Jay Plyburn.
Yeah, no, he's awesome. We actually have some. So when we get to do our Axanar shoot here in Atlanta again, we're going to do a 2-day shoot on the bridge and film an entire scene from the movie. And I got to get Jay back for that. I really do.
Well, he's in Grand Rapids, Michigan now.
Is he?
Yeah, he accepted a job as a morning news anchor there. And
really?
He'd been here in Northwest Arkansas working as a morning news anchor for the longest time. And he and I made 3 films together, and Tyler, of course, was a part of those. And he decided he wanted to do the acting thing, so he went out to Atlanta, did a stint there, got married. And then during COVID, he and his wife were going all around the country in like a Volkswagen bus or something, hiking
man.
every woods and mountain, and sleeping in their van. And I guess that was kind of their honeymoon. And then he got this anchorman job, and they went up to Grand Rapids, Michigan. He cut his long hippie hair and shaved his beard. Now he looks like himself again. So, but I'm sure he'd come back if you talk to him nicely.
Oh yeah, we'll shoot on the weekend, so hopefully he can. We'll find it. Yeah, if he's working weeks, then that would be great. Awesome. I'm just looking through some of the comments, and listen, I always love it when people say they consider Axanar canon. That's like the highest compliment anyone can pay us. Ray, thank you for becoming a member of our channel. That's awesome. Everyone, listen, if you want to become a member of our YouTube channel, please do. Or if you want to join our Patreon, we have a Patreon campaign that supports Ares Studios, which produces Axanar and the new upcoming Jewish Space Laser Kickstarter we're about to launch that Josh you just delivered. That was the version 3 that you just delivered me, right?
Yeah.
All right, I can't wait to see it. We just got the Kickstarter. I'm sorry, was it?
I said that is so funny.
Yeah, I loved it. It was. They did such a good job. The 2 girls were amazing. They were amazing. I mean, Crystal was one of them, and Danielle the other. They were just so good. It was. It was amazing to work with them. So I'm really excited. Val's joined. Thank you, Val. Val, also known as Eccleston Angel. We love Val. So 2 of our favorite people just became channel members. Thank you so much. The Patreon also. Please go over to our Patreon if you are so inclined and join up there. There's the info. It's great because we in the past like 2 months we've added like $300 worth of donors. So thank you so much for that. That supports the studio. And the big news is we're moving the studio. We are moving to another location in town, still staying in Lawrenceville, but kind of like our lease had run out, and he wants more money, and we were like, this is so we're moving to a facility that's 1,000 square feet less. However, it's really well laid out, especially the office space is awesome, the way it's laid out. And because of that, Dana is all fired up to put a corridor set in addition to the captain's quarters. And we're going to see if we can fit another set on top of that. I'm not sure we can, but that is the goal, to be able to do some stuff, or else we'll just head up to Arkansas and film it at Warp 66 Studios, which I'm all about. I can't wait to do that. Travel into the mountains of Arkansas and make Star Trek.
It's gonna surprise you when you finally get over there, because it's like you're just driving in the middle of the nowhere, going, "Where am I?
Where the?" Yeah. Well, listen,
but it's cool.
Yeah, no, I'm sure it is. So excited about that. So the new studio will be moving next month in May. So it's a big project just because we got to move that enormous set. But we're pretty excited. Dana and I were there today. Dana's really excited about the new building, and we're going to be totally renovating the front office space because it's like from 30 years ago. It hasn't been touched. So it's so we're real, but again, excited about that. Really, it should be a really great process. We got a lot of great volunteers who are coming out to help us with the move and all. So the studio is just going to get bigger and better. Well, not bigger. It's getting better, but we're going from 6,000 square feet down to 5,000 square feet. However, we're also the rent's going from basically 3,800 down to 2,800. So we're going to save $1,000 a month. That's great. And so anyway, let everyone know about that. If you're interested in helping out of the studio, you just get in touch with me and let me know. So Tyler, what's up for your character in the Avalon universe? Tell us.
What's up for my?
You're dead. You're dead. They killed you.
Yeah, he died. He died in Avalon Lost. And, as we see in the trailer for Cosmic Stream, well, he's back somehow. At the beginning, is he alive? Is he dead? He doesn't know. He doesn't know where he is, what's going on. Can I say that much, Josh? I got in a little trouble on the last interview I did for too much spoilers or whatnot.
You and Tom Holland can't shut your damn mouths.
Well, I was like, well, you got to give him enough for. It wasn't from Josh, but anyway. And I was just like, well, you got to give him enough to be interested, to want to, watch it. But anyway, I was told I need.
I'll say this. There's a very Stargate SG-1 type situation occurring. Sort of Daniel Jackson like, if you get my drift. Something like that's going on.
Yeah, the good ones always come back.
Even Glenn Wolfe picked up on it while we were filming. He was like, "Oh, this is like the Stargate thing," So, yeah, it was fun. It was so much fun to shoot that film, and I'm excited to put it out. I mean, and let me tell you, with regard to doing this shoot that we did, that this interlude pickup was part of it. I was talking to Dana and kind of going over some plans that I had with him. And he's like, well, if you're going to shoot, you need to get down here pretty quick because we're about to tear those sets down. And they may not be back up for a couple of months. And I was like, what? And he's like, yeah, and I'm like, how soon? And he's like, I don't know, maybe this weekend, maybe next weekend. I don't know. And so I got with you and I was like, so I guess I should come down there and shoot this stuff. And you're like, yeah, hey, while you're down here, why don't we just reshoot, this part of Interlude? And I'm like, yeah, okay. And that's when I was kind of like, there was this kind of discussion about who would replace Paul, who would be the actor. And I was like, no, I'm bringing Tyler with me. I was planning on hanging out with him this weekend anyway. So I'm just going to bring him with me. And like I said, I didn't give him a choice. And so
that's true.
We drove down that Saturday, and then we shot for 8 hours on Sunday. And then when we were done shooting, we got in my truck and we just drove back.
You guys are crazy.
We're nuts.
Just after 2 a.m. Central Time, got home.
God.
I was in my office at 8 a.m. at work on Monday, just going, oh, why did I do this?
Hey, listen, I just want to answer a couple questions before we get. B Wins, thank you very much for the super chat. We should know the move dates next week or so. Give us some time. We're waiting for the floors to be finished in the new studio, and we were there today, and they got the first part of that done. Once the floors are done, we can start moving stuff in. So we'll let you know. If you're not part of the Axanar volunteer group, send me a message on Facebook and I will add you. So also hello to Damon Mack. I haven't seen you in a while. He says, last I spoke, you had COVID. That was last July, dude. Last July. But thank you for coming back. It's always good to have you. Hardboiled points out that Avalon was the island Arthur is taken to in the Once and Future King after he dies.
That's true.
Yeah. Also a great album by Brian Ferry.
And kind of a crappy car made by was it Dodge or
did Hardboiled notice that
Toyota? I think it was Toyota.
I don't know. Is it no? Is it a Kia? No, it's a Toyota.
No, it's a Toyota. Yeah, it's
a Toyota. Okay.
I was Hardboiled had noticed Captain Mason's middle name.
What is Captain Mason's middle name?
It's Arthur.
Arthur.
Oh.
Yeah. And Captain of the Excalibur.
Captain of the Excalibur.
Ah. Very cool. Randall Mitchell says, how close to a finished film since the buyout is actually going to be a full-length movie? No, the buyout, meaning Viacom being acquiring CBS, that hasn't really changed anything. It's the same people at Star Trek who I can't comment about. But no, we're still planning on doing 2 15-minute episodes and maybe some other cool stuff. Plus, we get great people like Josh to make Axanar movies. So all's good. all's good. I will say that CBS is taking to not enforcing the fan film guidelines against anyone. There's been, I think, there has been no proactive intervention by CBS on any fan film, and basically all the rules are being broken all over the place. The big thing is CBS, and CBS doesn't care for the most part, because they look at everything and they go, well, it's not. No one's going to mistake that for real Star Trek. This is their take, and it's not playing in our universe.
And now that you've said that, Alec, you know who's going to get all the blame if they do start enforcing.
Me, yeah. I get all the blame anyway. So
damn you, Alec Peters.
Yeah, yeah. So I haven't heard from their lawyers in a year and a half. Over a year and yeah. I mean, I guess it's been about a year and a half since I last heard from their lawyers. And
I've never heard from them, and
you won't.
Here's the thing: I don't think they care what we're doing.
They don't care.
Let's break it down like this for a second. It's like you go to the Bible, and there's the part where the guy walks up to Jesus, and he's like, "Which is the most important of the 10 Commandments?" And he kind of breaks it down, and he's like, "Well, love God and love your neighbor." And that's kind of like you could break the guidelines down, like, don't make a bunch of money, and don't be mistaken for something we could actually do.
Yeah, don't be so fucking good that we're gonna have to come after you. So, which is probably what we're gonna do, and then just walk away and say, "Well, we're done now. We're done."
It's a waste of their time to worry about what I'm doing.
Yeah,
listen, and they know that they've told me. They told me, years ago, they're like, look, we don't have the time or effort to spend on fan films. And they literally said, the guy who was in charge, Bill Burke, the guy who was in charge of CBS Consumer Products, literally said to me at one point, we just don't have, we cannot, in order for us to put guidelines out, we would have to get the CEOs of CBS and the CEO of Viacom together in a room to talk about fan films. So we're never going to do that. And of course, what happens? They do it because we're so good. They're like, okay, and all these other, and Renegades and and New Voyages and Continues are raising all this money, and they're like, okay, now we have to do guidelines. And it's like, it's not that you couldn't do it. That whole line Bill gave me was bullshit. It's they didn't want to do it. They didn't want to spend the time and energy on fan films. And and so what do they do? Sue me for 13 months. And now I think they're like, look, they've got Star Trek, and no one's mistaking our Star Trek for their Star Trek. There's no question what their product is and what our product is. And I say our, meaning us fan filmmakers, right? And so, even if we do another film, the quality of Prelude, it's not going to impact them negatively. So, and I think hopefully I don't think they think about fan films the way this Lucasfilm does, which is, thinks kindly and positively of fan films. But I think they're treating us with benign neglect at this point.
Well, it's interesting because I feel like, there's been so much said about like, oh, fan films are ruined or whatever. And I don't think that's the case. I think that we've entered like a really interesting era for them. And what I'm observing right now is that you've got like several groups of people that are doing them. There are lots of active groups. There's there's Squadron people. Ray Tessie's making some more Tales from the Neutral Zone. You got Glenn and Dan doing Federation Files. You got Vance, just doing his thing. You got Avalon Universe. You got Axanar. There's a lot of, you got Randy Landers is he's nothing stopping him. And so it's like we got lots of different people making fan films, and we're all supporting each other. And I think that's an important thing to point out, is that we're not talking a bunch of trash about each other. The people who are making fan films right now are not doing that. Now you may see some kind of competition and some, maybe behind the scenes a little bit. We're like, but it's not like a nasty backbiting thing. It's like,
oh no, not at all, not at all. I mean, everyone in fan films now that certain members have left the building, it's you and I mean, I don't talk to Randy Landers, but he's an awesome guy. I see him at a few conventions. I love Vance. I was on the phone with Vance last night. We all get along. We all either support each other. I mean, Crystal and I have been in Vance's films. I've been in your films now. Crystal's going to be in your film. You're working on Axanar. I mean, it's one big happy fan film making family, which is fantastic, and that's the way it should be.
And I'm going to make one last point with this, is that the people who are active, very positive, they're supporting each other. There are people that may not be making the films themselves, but there's a very active, supportive group of people supporting them, not just by watching them, but by helping financially, giving to them, supporting them. And the people who are being negative are by and large no part of any of that. They're just being negative. They're not contributing anything positive to the fan film space at the moment. That's just my observation, is that the vast majority of the people who are negative aren't currently doing anything to contribute to fan films, and the people who have a positive attitudes are the ones who are engaged in creating.
My
cat is rubbing against my tripod. That's why it keeps shaking.
Is that what you call it? Okay. Well, no, listen, Josh, I agree 100% with you. I think you're right on. Everyone, there's so much positivity in fan films. And people say, "Oh God, how do you deal with all the haters?" There's like 35 haters in a big circle jerk, and meanwhile we just crossed 5 million views and 100,000 subscribers. Who do you think I'm paying attention to? The 100,000 subscribers or the 35 idiots who can't get a life?
Right.
It's all what you focus on, right? You focus on the positive, and I love it. I mean, we have such wonderful people in fan films, and we have fun. We have so much fun doing it. When you guys came down, it was a blast that day.
It was nuts. It's why I do this. You know what I mean? Because it's like one of the big reasons that I got into films is just to, look back on all the crazy things and all the great memories and be like, you remember that time that crazy stuff happened where it was like 3 a.m. and the cops showed up? Like that's why I love doing this, is all the fun memories that you make doing it. Like, remember that time we just drove to Atlanta and then we drove back? I love it. And it was so much fun. We had such a great time that day.
Speaking of the drive to Atlanta, Josh, I got this just for you. It's a quieter one. You haven't heard it once, have you?
He was chain vaping the entire way down and the entire way back. And he knows I hate the sound of the vape. We got down to Kingsland, Georgia to do Ghost Ship. And it's like 2 a.m. the night before we're going to film. And I'm trying to go to sleep, and I'm just hearing... I turn around, he's sitting in his bed vaping.
It was like 1, Josh.
No, it was like 3.
It was not. I would not have. No, whatever. 1:30.
Yeah.
Yeah. No. Listen, I'm totally with you about because listen, even when I started out 11 years ago with Star Trek New Voyages, it was fun. I'd go up to New York, and we'd play Star Trek, and it was a blast.
Right.
It was so much fun, right? So even the bullshit and the stress was, there are good memories there. I mean, I met Doc John up there, who's been a lifelong friend. By the way, that's who you need to get in Avalon Universe. You need to get Doc John to do Dr. McCoy in Avalon Universe.
Really? Yeah, he's cool. Dude,
Doc John is a barrel of he is nonstop fun. He does not take anything seriously. Like, everything is the butt of a joke to him.
And you wouldn't think that to watch him on screen.
No, when he's performing, he's performing. I mean, it's so amazing because for an amateur, he has so much presence like a professional actor. I love it. I love it. I can't. Yes, right. You need to write something into the script.
Well, there may be something that shows a couple of other characters we talked about earlier today.
Yes.
But maybe there's a way to work him in if he wants to be there. I remember the first time that I saw him in that role, I was like, wow, this guy's great. Like, because Dr. McCoy is supposed to like be from Georgia. He's supposed to have this, and he went to like, Ole Miss when he went to college. He's supposed to be a Southern guy, and then they bring in this Southern guy that's just like, wow, this is really good casting. I would really believe this dude's from the South. So, yeah, pretty cool.
Yeah, he's great. He's a lot of fun. And again, that's what's so cool. That's what's, what I love about all the Star Trek is we get to make Star Trek with cool people, and do fun projects. So
I want to, it's just so many cool things, like on Cosmic Stream where I'm like inside the Jeffries tube and I've got like a fog machine, and it's supposed to be like plasma coolant coming out of the Jeffries tube. And I'm standing in there with the fog machine, and that guy, Drew, is up at the top with a box fan. And, Neil's giving his cues. Okay, we're rolling, and then going crazy with the fog machine. And the dude's blowing the box fan on me. And I'm just like, I'm standing in a Jeffries tube with a box fan and a, smoke machine. It's just like, what else could you do in life that you could do crazy things like that?
No, yeah. Listen, it's if you want to be a filmmaker, you have to make films, right?
Yeah,
that's that. By the way, you just crossed 1,500 views on already on the Axanar channel. So yeah, it's taken off. But yeah, you have to make films. There was a Hollywood screenwriter, some successful screenwriter. I don't remember who it was. Who I guess it was like early last year, I think it was, and he posted because someone had said, "Well, how do I become a Hollywood? How do I sell a script in Hollywood?" And he says, you don't. He says, you don't sell a script in Hollywood. The chances of you selling a script in Hollywood are like 1 in a gazillion. He says, what you do is you take your phone and you go out and you make a 3-minute movie. He says, and it's going to suck. He says, and you're only going to show it to your family, and they're probably going to tell you it sucks. And then you're going to go out and make another one and make this one 5 minutes, and it's going to be better. And then make another one. And he's like, and keep making movies and keep finding people that you want to make movies with and keep doing that over and over and over and over. And you know what you're going to do? You're going to become a filmmaker.
You know who's a great example of that, don't you? Is Vance.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Vance is amazing.
You're familiar, I'm sure, with Bruce Campbell, right? I mean,
oh yeah,
Evil Dead, and
oh yeah, he's epic.
Darkness.
Yeah. So I went to a convention in 1999 with his brother, and we're hanging out in the hotel, and I look across, and Bruce Campbell's door is open to his hotel room, and I just walked in. I just went into his hotel room, and he's like, "Okay, so you're invading my privacy," and I was like, "Well, I wanted to talk to you," and he's like, "All right, if you got the balls to invade my privacy, come sit on my couch and let's talk." And I sat down. He's like, "What do you want?" And I said, "I want to be a filmmaker, and I wanted your advice on how to become a filmmaker." And he's like, "Well, don't go to film school." Kind of wish I'd listened to him on that one. But he said, "Don't go to film school." He said, "Just get a camera, get your buddies, go out, make a film, screw it up, do it again, screw it up again, and keep doing it until you get good." I think that, taking that approach has been the thing that has most contributed to my growth. And it's been it's fun to do that. It's fun to go out and screw up a film. It's fun to be like in an alleyway at night, filming a scene where you're filming a scene about somebody buying drugs, and actual drug dealers approach you while you're filming the scene.
Yeah,
That happened.
I don't doubt it. You guys know who Richard Belzer is? He plays Munch on Law and Order.
Right.
You know him. He actually owns the record for playing the same character in the most different TV shows ever. He has played that Detective Munch who started out on Homicide, right? Homicide back in the 90s and in the early 90s, I guess that was. He was on Homicide, and then he had a Law and Order crossover. He was in X-Files. And then of course he lands on SVU. Anyway, look up the Wikipedia, Richard Belzer, Munch. Anyway, he's so ingrained in television as a detective. I knew him. I grew up with him. He had a radio show in New York, a morning radio show, the Brink and Belzer show. So I knew him back in '78 when I was graduating from high school when he was doing radio. Anyway, the funny story about Richard Belzer is they're shooting Homicide. I guess it was Homicide or Law and Order in Baltimore. And, he's got like a police vest on and everything. And they're shooting they're shooting over on this block. So they're around the corner because staying out of the way of the shot, but waiting for them to get in. And anyway, some guy breaks into an apartment or something and comes running out of the door with stolen goods. He runs up, Belzer turns around, and the guy goes, "Oh shit, Munch, I surrender."
Michael Chiklis did something like that once, where he was trying to surprise a fan, and they were actually watching his show, and he could see on the TV, his character go behind a building, and then he just busts in and pulls a gun on him, and it's like, "Get down on your knees," and they complied. They got down on the ground, and
that's so funny. That's so funny.
So
today I was talking to Crystal because she's working on a fan film, her fan film project, her Supergirl fan film project, and they just landed the most amazing actor to be in there. Oh yeah, because the big key for her for this film was landing a guy to play Lex Luthor.
Oh, that's the most important part.
No, right?
Yeah.
And I just was like, you guys are screwed. You're not going to find the guy that you need. I'm just like, wow, that's just a tough one. Anyway, they did. Nice. They found a guy who, I've seen in I don't want to say, well, I have seen his reel. I'm watching his reel. I'm going, holy shit. Oh, I saw that. Holy shit. That was him. Holy crap. And it's over and over. There were 6 parts. I would show it to you and you'd know all of them. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, oh my God, he is just amazing. And I was like, Crystal, you just hit a home run. That was like us casting Gary Graham as Saval. I mean,
that's neat.
You just hit a home run. So yeah, I've already asked him to be an Axanar. So,
okay.
Oh yeah. He'd be, he could play, there's 2 roles that he could play easy. But anyway, but that is part of the fun of filmmaking too, when we're doing fan films is casting, casting great people. I love it.
Like Warren Hawk.
Yes, tell us how you cast him in Interlude.
Oh, Warren, yeah, that was a deal where it was such a demanding thing. You know what I mean? It was like a big part to fill. And so it was a situation where Victoria had been, she had auditioned a lot of people. She looked at a lot of people. She'd put out calls, and we were getting down to the wire. And I think that there was still just not someone we were satisfied with. And I just thought, I'll call my buddy Jay Plyburn, who played Franklin. And Jay's this kind of guy that he just knows everybody. He when he was here in Northwest Arkansas, he just knew everyone because he's such a social party animal kind of guy. I think that the fan film or the film that he wrote for himself is called The Life and Times of a Party Boy. And so he's just a socialite. Wherever he goes, man, he knows everybody. And I thought he at least knows a casting director down there or something. So I got on the phone with Jay, and I said, "This is what we're looking for. We need a, black dude, smooth voice, powerful, strong." And his wife was on speakerphone with him, and because they were in the car, and she's like, "Oh, Warren Hawk, boom." And he sent me Warren and like 3 other people, sent that to Victoria. We looked at it that night and we're like, these 3 guys are all good, but this dude's the best. So I called him the next day, and Jay told him I was going to call him. I got him on the phone. I was like, look, here's what we're looking for. And he's like, oh, really? Star Trek? I love Captain Sisko. I'm Warren Hawk, and he was a man named Hawk. And he got real excited about it. And I just said, look, here's all I need you to do. I'm going to send you a little part of a script. Just take your phone and do an audition on the phone and like send it back to me. And he went and did it. It was like one of the best auditions I've ever seen like that, where just a guy just takes his phone and talks into the phone. It was like, boom. And so he sends that to me. Victoria's like on this $3 million film set. So like a Civil War movie. Like she had to cast like 300 people for that or something. And so like I sent her the audition. She watched it and she's like, oh yeah, I cast this guy. This is the dude, we don't need to look at anyone else. And so I called him back and I said, I think you're the guy. And he was beside himself. And then I called Jonathan and I was like, yeah, this is the guy. And Jonathan was just like, whew. The thing that you have to understand about Jonathan is this. He was a lot more involved in the production of Interlude than an executive producer normally is, to put it mildly.
I can vouch for that.
There's kind of a general rule that you have in filmmaking that the writer is not present when you make the film unless the writer is the director. I kind of think maybe Jonathan should have been the director, and maybe he shouldn't have hired other people to do that, but lesson learned for next time. And a lot of times what would happen is Jonathan would get real particular about something he wanted that I think was dumb. And what I've got to own is I got to the point where I lost my temper with him a lot. He'd be like, I want you to do this thing. And then I would just like explode and call him every name in the book. And then I would do it. It was like, yeah, I'm going to do this thing you want, but I'm going to let you know I don't want to do it, very forcefully. There were all kinds of crazy things we had to do. I had to like spend a week repainting a prop in post. I think I spent a week on just the closing credits. There were 4-hour conversations about the shuttles in the background. I mean, there was no stone unturned on the detail that went into making Interlude, let me tell you. And it was challenging. It was challenging to navigate that. And look, to Jonathan's credit, he admits this. He admits that he does this, and he admits that people find it obnoxious. And we struggled with it. And basically what happened, to be fair to everyone, is that at the time, Paul was sort of being the wise wizard. He was kind of mediating this 3 creative points of view that were coming together. And he was doing a pretty good job of it. He was making the process easier. So, both Victoria and Jonathan were like, this is the guy that should play the engineer. And so we came down to shoot like at the interview with you, Paul's warped thing. It was just sort of a natural thing that we would go ahead and we'd film that engineering scene then. Well, that weekend that was when COVID was starting to freak people out. That was when people were starting to be like, oh my gosh, what's going on with this? We stayed at Paul's house. He made us breakfast. He made our group dinner. He's a very good host. And then when we went back to Arkansas, we were, there wasn't like a government mandated lockdown here, but everyone still did it. So I spent the vast majority of the quote unquote lockdown editing Interlude. And I think that we learned that the split with Paul happened in July. My memory's kind of vague on it, but I want to say that there was a little bit of a discussion about like, well, of course I was disappointed because I did like Paul. So I was disappointed that, I was like, well, but I can still respect Paul and I can still be Alec's friend. But as far as the involvement with Interlude, it was like, we were at a point where we're like right at the height of COVID. I mean, it was like where it was really, the numbers were pretty high. And we shot some Avalon stuff in the fall, but that's quite a different story than like driving down to Atlanta. So I think that what I pointed out was, well, we already have a picture lock and we already have music being composed. So it's like, it might be a little difficult to replace it. I wouldn't have just not done it. You know what I mean? If it had come down to it, if Jonathan had called me on the phone and said, well, we've got to replace Paul, again, it probably would have been like a lot of the other stuff where I would have done it, but I would have let him know that I was very frustrated by that. What you probably would have ended up with would have been something like, a one actor on a green screen. It wouldn't have been near as cool as what we did. But I think after any initial discussion over it, just never came up again. And then we get to the part where, we're a day out from releasing, and then I just get this message from Jonathan that's like, oh, Paul wants to be taken out of the film. And then we're getting emails about these demands like literally 2 hours out. I'd messaged Paul the previous day and said, look, just for the sake of everybody involved, can you just kind of let it go? Because I was under the impression that he was doing it out of friendship for us. If he doesn't like you, fine. If he doesn't like Jonathan, fine. But I'd been under the impression that he was doing it as an act of friendship for us.
Doing what?
Being an interlude. And so it was like, I thought that maybe he would just let it go, but then we got these emails like, put this thing in the pre-roll, all this. Look, I'm gonna take responsibility for how it played out on the Avalon channel, because that's my channel. And I'll tell you this, it wasn't just a timing thing. There was a lot of criticism about the timing. It was not a timing thing. I did not feel like, with all the people that had worked on this, Kevin Croxton, Mark Edward Lewis, Victoria, you could give a long list of the actors who worked on this. It wouldn't be fair to them to put this thing at the beginning that just basically says, disclaimer, this film sucks, or whatever it was, before you put their work of art up. Plus, we're starting the film with a tribute to a member of the fan film community that just died. I just didn't feel like it was appropriate to start a film that way. And so I felt like I compromised. I made a compromise in that I will put that disclaimer as a pinned comment. And I felt like at the time that was the best compromise I could make. It's the decision I made. I stand by it. I take responsibility for it. It wasn't enough for some people. Well, that video's down now. It's no longer up on our channel. But when it came down to it, we just made the decision, we're going to recast this part. We had an actor available. The biggest thing that Jonathan was worried about was the timing. Since we had a finished film, we had to match the timing precisely. I knew Tyler could do it, period. And, when it came down to it, I wasn't the director of this film. I was not the producer of this film. I had no say in who could be in it and who couldn't up until now. But, I had to take responsibility for it, and I had to fix the problem. As always, And so the problem's fixed.
Yeah, no, listen, like I told Jonathan to do this months ago, right? To replace it. To replace Paul months ago. But Paul, Jonathan wanted to, try and maintain, a relationship with Paul. Okay, whatever. But, when he, my problems with Paul are revealing of Paul's character, and to think that he wouldn't do, to tell you 24 hours before you're releasing your film, well, you need to take me out. I'm sorry, that's a dick move. And that's totally unprofessional. And, and for people who you worked with on this film to do this to them, you don't do that. That's not what a decent human being does, and,
well, I personally try to believe that, look, it slipped my mind, it slipped my mind for months. It was talked about, and then boom, I didn't think about it until he said something. And I like to think,
but there was no reason to. There was no reason you had to talk about it. He agreed to appear in the film.
Yeah.
Right?
I just
And so
like to
then
think
for him to
that
do
he
20,
maybe forgot about it until he saw that we posted it. Maybe.
doesn't
Can I
matter.
say
He agreed to. You
I-
try and be a man of your word. You gave your word. You stick by your word. You know.
I know
So
that I know that this whole thing was like a big problem and a big struggle for you guys. For me, it was a blessing.
yeah.
I'm glad it happened, and you know, I
Well, I'm
couldn't
glad you
be
came
happier
down
to be
and
part of
filmed it. Yeah, yeah. No, it's awesome. No,
I think we made the most of the situation.
absolutely, absolutely.
It's a thing that no matter how you slice it, it's not fair to anyone. What was going on was not fair to anybody. It wasn't fair to me or to Victoria or Jonathan or Paul or anyone else.
Yep.
And really, the only solution is just to do what we did. And
Yeah. Exactly.
Josh,
I'm glad that it turned out the way it did.
You were talking about matching the timing. You have that video where you it shows me acting and with the voice
With Paul's voice. Yeah,
And
it was like
timing of
halfway
it.
through the process when I was switching it out, there was this point where it was Tyler's face but Paul's voice, and it was like dead on.
Oh wow, that's
Yeah,
fun.
except for
That's
we
funny.
changed one of the lines.
Yeah.
But it was like for two of the lines, it was exact. And I showed it to
Kept it
Jonathan, and he thought it was funny. And I
as
showed it to
ADR.
you and all of you, and he thought it was funny. But because it was like, I think that the original line was something like in the script, it was something like, "But Captain, that will," and then he gets interrupted, and then I think we made it. Victoria said,
Well,
she wanted the actor to actually say something. He didn't want him to be cut off. Just for the sake of his acting. It was like, we'll say that'll overload the engines, and not a bad idea. It was just that in Star Trek, that's a bit redundant or a bit weird. It's like, it's not going to overload the engines. It's going to kill everyone if you drop the antimatter containment seals. So that's kind of putting it mildly. So it's just like, no, Captain, that'll destroy the ship. So, I made that one tweak. That's on me. But I think it turned out pretty good.
Yeah, no, I think it turned out great. Well, listen, we're at the end of our hour, and I want to thank you guys for showing up. You guys are fantastic. I want to thank everyone who's joined us tonight. Listen, if you've joined us tonight, please, if you want to go to the Area Studio store and check that out, there's if you put in the coupon code Interlude, you get 25% off pins, patches, and posters. So go there and shop to your heart's content. I want to thank John Tesler, just joined the channel. Thank you for that. A question from John Tesler. Here he is. Tyler, where did you park the DeLorean when you got on the Artemis?
Great question. I don't have an answer for that. Can I talk about something I did this weekend? Or I'm sorry, yesterday. I did a commercial we filmed a commercial in Springfield, Missouri for a medical clinic, and it's a total shot-for-shot reenactment of the last scene of Back to the Future, and that was a lot of fun.
Is that the one that you was it you who posted it? Like when you hit a shot on your first scene?
Yes.
On your first take? That was awesome.
When you kill it on the first take, and
that was awesome.
Driving into the driveway and hits the trash can, and the trash flies everywhere. And we're filming behind the scenes. And we've got the DP in the shot, and the DP just does his fist like this and spins around, and he's like, "Yes!" And then he goes, "Nailed it!" And that reaction is priceless, and that's on my Facebook profile. I'm probably going to post it in some other places too.
It is awesome. So, well, listen, thank you so much, everyone. Want to thank everyone out there for watching Interlude. Go and watch it again if you can. I know it's probably approaching 2,000 views at this point. We're really excited to have it. Go ahead. Were you saying?
Josh, can we give a shout out to Apex and Kristen?
Sure. Yeah. Tyler and I are part of a really big thing that's coming up. We're part of a new film company that's being started here in Arkansas. It's called Apex Films and Apex Productions. And Kristen Lawhon is our executive producer and our president and the person who's making it all possible. Another one of our driving force is a girl named Courtney. And we've already shot our very first Apex production, official Apex production that'll be coming out pretty soon. It's a really neat movie. It's some really great opportunities, and Apex is going to have a part of Avalon Universe as well. They're kind of the wind beneath our wings. I'm part of it. Tyler's part of it. They funded Cosmic Stream, and then they're going to help fund another Avalon Universe film that we're going to make several months from now. That's going to introduce a very special new character that we're really excited about. So yeah, we got great things going on here in Arkansas with Apex Productions and Apex Films. Great family kind of atmosphere. Tyler's a big part of that, and we have several other just wonderful people working with us, and we're really excited about what we're doing.
Great group of people.
Well, guys, you're at 1.8 thousand people on the Axanar channel. Make sure you go, and you guys need to go into the comments and reply to people in the comments.
Sure. Can do.
People love that. People love that.
Absolutely.
And yeah, that'd be awesome. So thank you, everyone. We appreciate you joining us again for Axanar Confidential. We'll be back hopefully next week. Let's see how things going. And stay tuned as we keep you posted on the move of Aries Studios and a real exciting project they'll probably launch in the next week or so, the Jewish Space Laser Corps. So we're going to tell you all about that. That is just awesome. And thank you, Josh, for everything you've done. Thank you, Tyler. It's great to have you as part of the Axanar universe. Thank you, everyone out there, all of our fans. You guys are awesome. We appreciate you so much. We'll be back soon. Stay tuned. Make sure you subscribe to the Axanar channel on YouTube and go to axanar.com and subscribe to our newsletter there. Okay? So, as always, everyone, live long and prosper, and make sure, even if you're vaccinated, wear your damn mask until everyone's vaccinated. All right. Cheers, everyone.